I'm the only person who showed up as imported merchandise, and I'm the only one without any resources, and I'm the only one without a solid connection to the land of my birth, a solid political, economic connection to the land of my birth. So if you want to make it more diverse, hire more black people, because I'm the only person on the island in here. We have to stop being afraid to be black. We have to stop being afraid to let other people know we are black. For so long, brothers and sisters, we have stood down and we have bore the brunt of uncomfortability. And I'm telling you that in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make them uncomfortable. I said in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make them uncomfortable. I'm saying in 2023, it is time for us to get comfortable and make everybody else uncomfortable. Don't let them silence your black voice. Don't you let them silence your black voice. Speak up and say, I have a problem with this Christmas party. I have a problem with this holiday party. I have a problem with this retreat because it seems like you catered to everybody's culture except mine. But aren't you American? I mean, I know you're African American, but you're still one of us. I am not one of you. I am not one of you. I am not an American by privilege. I am an American by circumstance. America isn't something I'm proud to be a part of. America is something that was done to me. When you say you are an Italian American, when you say you are a Greek American, a Russian American, a British American, you're talking about your prideful experience in this country. I have no such frame of reference. When I think of America and what it has been to me, I think of fire and brimstone. So the next time you decide to include me in a group of Americans, you better come and ask my opinion first. I am an African victim in America. I am an African prisoner of war in America. Don't you ever mislabel me as one of you ever again. Multiculturalism is a process of being seen but not heard. Good point, Sister Aaliyah. We're the only ones whose freedom was a matter of legislation. Excellent point. The good sister said, our freedom is the only freedom that had to be legislated, voted on, and approved and enforced. Because I would argue that right now, we still are not free. We don't have any rights. Black people have no rights. None. You have none. You don't have a right to live. You don't have a right to breathe. You don't have a right to walk down the street. You don't have a right to learn in the classroom. You don't have a right to disagree with a white person. You don't have a right to speak back to your boss. You have no rights. So you say, Dr. Umar, if we have no rights, how do we get justice? If you don't have any rights, how do you get justice? You get justice through organized power. Organized power is how you get justice. You're not going to get it voting. You're not going to get it voting. I keep telling you Negroes that. You're never going to get justice through the vote. You're never going to get it through the march. You're going to get it through organized power. You have no rights. Every Negro fighting against the government by himself is fighting a losing battle. Every Negro fighting against the government by himself is fighting a losing battle. We have to organize. Black people standing together in solidarity. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, brothers and sisters. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, brothers and sisters. We can fight behind closed doors all we want, but when we come outside, I don't care if you are Moor, Hebrew, God's and Earth, Nation of Islam, Pan-Africanist, Socialist, Garveyite, Muslim, Christian, Jehovah's Witness, when we come outside, we got to be all for one, and we got to be one for all. You understand? See, before we start arguing the issue, we have to establish respect. Respect. See, white folks want to go straight to the issue. No, we're not even talking about the problem until we create an atmosphere of respect. Because until there's some respect right here, we ain't discussing shit. I don't care who you is, governor, mayor, president, congressperson, CEO. We need an atmosphere of respect. Because as African people, we deal in respect. So until we have an atmosphere of respect, nothing else going to get discussed. Y'all have to do that, brothers and sisters. Well, she says she didn't do it. Time out. Time out. The energy right now is very disrespectful, condescending, and racist. So before we talk about the issue, let us first establish an atmosphere of respect. Don't let nobody disrespect you. You check them. Stop right there. Change your tone. Change your attitude. You watch how you talk to me. Change your tone. Change your attitude. You walk how you talk to me. You watch how you talk to me. Multiculturalism makes us feel bad about putting ourselves first. And most of all, it removes us from the center of the human story. Black people are the center, the birthplace of the human story. You are the heart and soul. If somebody said, let's tell the story of humanity. Let's tell the story of humanity. Guess where it starts at? It starts in Africa. And it starts with black people. Let's tell the story of religion. It starts in Africa and it starts with black people. Let's tell the story of civilization. It starts in Africa. It starts in black. Let's tell the story of astrology. Let's tell the story of medicine. Let's tell the story of... It all starts with black people. And it all starts in Africa. Now let's talk about the political costs of multiculturalism. It's intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. Multiculturalism is intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. I'm going to say it again. Multiculturalism is intended to downplay the unique story and the unique struggle of African people. It also leads to weak black communities. Multiculturalism leads to weak black communities. And the reason multiculturalism leads to weak black communities is you don't have a problem letting anybody colonize your neighborhood. The black community is the weakest community because it does not protect black people. I'm going to say it again. The black community is the weakest community because it does not defend black people. Look at gentrification. Look at gentrification. Did the white people come in your neighborhood and ask you if it's okay to buy a house in your neighborhood? But when you moved to the white neighborhood, you had to get approval from the White Homeowners Association. They had to meet with you and approve you to move on their block. Did they not? You had to meet with white people before you bought that $1 million house. White folks had to approve you before you could move on a block. But when they came into the black community and started gentrifying our neighborhood, they didn't ask a single black person what they thought about the white takeover. In fact, I saw a interview clip of Reggie Wright from Right Way Security, who used to work with Death Row. And he says Suge Knight tried to buy a house in a community where Sylvester Stallone lived. Suge Knight tried to buy a home in the community where Sylvester Stallone lived. And Sylvester Stallone didn't want no black people living in his community. So Sylvester Stallone went to the homeowners organization of that exclusive white community and told them he did not want Suge Knight living in his neighborhood. Isn't it interesting? White people can keep you out of their neighborhood, but you can't keep them out of your neighborhood. That's because you practice multiculturalism. They practice group economics, group politics, group racism. 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 Until black people understand that. Until you understand that, we will get nowhere. Multiculturalism dissipates your political power. Desegregation of public schools was multiculturalism. What did that get us? Desegregation of public schools. Look what it gave us. Look what it gave us. And 50 years after the schools desegregated, special ed and ADHD and disciplined schools and juvenile detention has destroyed black boys through public school. Civil rights integration destroyed black wealth and black ownership. Show me where multiculturalism has benefited African people. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. We have no independent institutions because we don't see color. It gives you this false notion that we have a shared history. We don't have a shared history with nobody. Can somebody please tell me who we have shared history with? Because multiculturalism presumes that all Americans have a shared history. What is the shared history? Can somebody help me out? I've been looking for a book on the history that black people share with everybody else in America. Can somebody please tell me what that history is? What is the shared history of the black man in America with the white man, the brown man, the yellow man, and the red man? Can somebody please tell me what is the shared history between the black man with the white man, the brown man, the yellow man, and the red man? Can somebody please show me how my history has anything in common with the white man, the red man, the brown man, or the yellow man? Please help me. See, when you endorse multiculturalism, you make it possible for things like all lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. That's a multicultural scam. All lives matter. Why are we focusing on black people who die? All kind of people die. Why are we focusing on black people who get killed by police? Other people get killed by police. All lives matter, not just black lives. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye said. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye said. That's what Candace Owens and Kanye, they said all lives matter. Look at that. Look at how they use multiculturalism against black people. Black Lives Matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter doesn't mean all lives don't matter. Black Lives Matter means all lives matter except black lives. So we have to let y'all know that Black Lives Matter because all lives matter except black lives. So when we say Black Lives Matter, we reminding you damn racists. When we say Black Lives Matter, we're reminding you damn racists. When we say Black Lives Matter, we are reminding you racists that Black Lives Matter as well. In fact, Black Lives Matter so much. Black Lives Matter so much. Black Lives Matter so much that you brought us all the way from Africa to build up your civilization. So black lives must certainly matter. All the prison experiments you conducted on black people, black lives must certainly matter. All the financial exploitation you've conducted against black people, black lives must certainly matter. People of color, minority, and disadvantaged. 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 How do you deny black people while making them think you're solving problems for black people? How do you deny black people by making them think you're solving problems for black people? How do you deny black people while making them think you're solving problems for black people? You know how you do that? You come up with a new word that is not limited to black people, but includes all other groups of people. And by doing this, by making black people part of this solid bowl, by making black people part of this solid bowl, by making black people part of this solid bowl, you can take care of the Asians in the solid bowl. You can take care of the Arabs in the solid bowl. You can take care of the white women in the solid bowl. You can take care of the Native Americans in the solid bowl. You can take care of the East Indians in the solid bowl. You can take care of the homosexuals in the solid bowl. And you can take care of everybody in the solid bowl except the black olives in the black eggplant in the solid bowl. But because you manipulated the black olives in the black eggplant in the solid bowl into thinking they part of the solid, but they don't get no dressing. I said you manipulated the black olives and the black eggplant into thinking they part of the solid bowl, but they don't get no dressing. I said you got the black olive and the black eggplant thinking they are part of the solid, but they don't never get no solid dressing. Go to your city council. Philadelphia, St. Louis, Kansas City, Detroit, Phoenix, Little Rock, Birmingham, Houston, Miami, Atlanta, Raleigh, Milwaukee, Minneapolis. Go to any city council and say, how much of the city contracts went to black people? Go ask your city council, how much of the city contracts went to black people? Go ask your city council, how much of the city contracts went to black people? You know what they're going to tell you? They're going to say 20% of city contracts went to minorities. 20% of city contracts went to minorities. And you're going to say, can I see a list of the minority contractors? Can I see a list of the minority contractors? And guess what you're going to see? White women, white gay male homosexuals. Lord have mercy. You're going to see white gay males on the minority contract list, because homosexuals are considered minorities. This is how they keep the resources amongst white people. This is how they keep the resources amongst white people. Truth be told, the LGBT movement ain't nothing but a white supremacist front to keep the resources coming to white people, even when they're supposed to go to minorities. You're going to see white Native Americans. You're going to see Asians, Arabs, and everybody else, some Latino, and you ain't going to see no black people on the list. Even though black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city. Black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city. Black people might be the biggest so-called minority group in your city, and not a single black person got a contract. And whose fault is it? Ours. Why? We let the white man redefine us out of existence. We let the white man redefine us out of existence. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your enemy define you. You don't ever let your oppressor tell you that I'm putting you in with a group of people called minority. I'm putting you in with a group of people called disadvantaged. I'm putting you in with a group of people called people of color. You don't define me. I'm black. The only group you're putting me in is the black box. You're not lumping me in with other people who hate me as much as you do. You're not lumping me in with other people who have way more resources than I do, just like you. You're not going to put me in a sea of yellow, a sea of brown, and a sea of red and make me think that I'm doing better because those races are a little darker than the white races. We're not playing those games, Mr. White Man. We're not playing those games, Mr. White Man. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden did the same thing to the HBCUs. Barack Obama and Joe Biden just did the same thing. Just Blaze, I see you, Just Blaze. Bashir Kareem Abdullah, servant of the Most High. Shout out to my brother, Just Blaze. Listen, we are going to have to fight the first fight, one of the first fights, one of the first political fights that we have to fight. We have to redefine ourselves out of the minority box. We have to redefine ourselves out of the people of color box. We have to redefine ourselves outside of the disadvantaged box, because as long as we stay in those boxes, as long as we stay in the minority box, the disadvantaged box, the people of color box, they will be able to ignore us, brothers and sisters. They will be able to ignore us. As hard as we are fighting for reparations, as hard as we are fighting for reparations, we need to fight for a reclassification of the American African away from people of color and minority. We do not want to be included with them. We have nothing in common with them. That is nothing but a scam to take resources from black people and give it to others. Joe Biden and Barack Obama did what? Rename the HBCU initiative. What did they call it? It's minority serving institutions. It's no longer the HBCU initiative. It's the minority serving institutions. So now money that was going to the HBCU, can now go back to white colleges who serve Latinos, Native Americans, Arabs, Chinese, homosexuals, and snow bunnies. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. They're trying to destroy the HBCUs. Part of the extermination of black people is the crushing of the HBCU movement. Part of the extermination of African people is the crushing of the HBCU movement. I want to send out a message to all HBCU presidents. If you are a student at an HBCU, please listen to me right now. I have something very important to say. If you are the student of an HBCU, if you are the professor at an HBCU, if you are on the board of governors at an HBCU, if you are the president, administrator, secretary, let the president of the HBCU know. If your enrollment is struggling, if you're having trouble bringing black students and keeping black students in your HBCU, if you are struggling to retain your black HBCU students, reach out to Dr. Umar Johnson. He's willing to teach a class at your HBCU. Dr. Umar is the most popular black scholar in the country. He will come and teach a psychology class. He will come and teach an education class. He will come and teach a political science class. He will come and teach a history class. Because if you let Dr. Umar teach a class for your undergraduates, we promise you every undergraduate at your HBCU will want to be in Dr. Umar's class. Black power, black power, black power. They're trying to crush the HBCUs. This is what the HBCU should have done, and they can still do it. This is what the HBCU should have done, and they can still do it. This is what the HBCUs should have done, and they can still do it. They should have marched on Washington. The HBCUs and all their students and all their alumni should have marched on Washington and protested Barack Obama and Joe Biden for reclassifying you from HBCU to minority serving institution. That was a multicultural scam. That was a multicultural scam, and the HBCUs accepted that multicultural scam without no pushback. We're going to see more HBCUs close down if we do not fight for the reclassification of HBCUs. I have no problem with colleges getting money to help Hispanic Americans. I have no problem with colleges getting money to help Native Americans. I have no problem. I have no problem with colleges helping any community advance their education and stability. I'm against nobody. I am 100% unapologetically against nobody. But at the same time, I am 100% unapologetically African, and you will not let the brown man take money from the black man. You will not let the red man take money from the black man. You will not let the yellow man take money from the black man. I won't let you do it. I won't let you do it. I will not let you do it. Give the red man his own pot of money. Give the yellow man his own pot of money. Give the brown man his own pot of money. Give the poor white man his own pot of money. But you are not going to let them drink from the cup of funds that came from the brutality, massacre, dehumanization, marginalization, and extermination of African people. Nobody gets to take resources set aside for black people. Nobody.